Hi everyone, so in this video what we're going to be looking at is how we can create a sample pack using a field recorder and going through the full process of taking what we've recorded out in the field into our DAW and then exporting that into our sampler of our choice. In this example it's going to be the Digitakt 2. So I've got here my Tascam Portacapture X8. This has two stereo inputs on the front which allow us to record audio directly into the unit, or we can plug in different microphones such as this pencil mic here into one of these four inputs on the side. You can basically see that we've got different inputs. So to get to this we have different modes that we can use, but I'm just going to go into manual mode at the moment. So with us in the manual mode, you'll see that the microphone at the front, which is on 1 and 2, this is going to be our stereo input. So when I start to record, I want to basically direct these microphones that are in 1 and 2 to the sound source itself. This will capture the sound source, that what it is that we're going to record, and it's going to be coming in the stereo input. So the difference between using the stereo input and this one is that this is obviously going to be recorded in stereo, so you'll get your left and right channel, but whereas this one it's going to be recorded in mono, where it will just be straight down the middle. So we know that I've got input on my left channel and then on my right channel. What I want to do now is just set up this microphone into my X8. So just before I do that, different microphones have different frequency responses within the circuitry. So if I use this one, for example, this will be a different sound to using another microphone. It's all dependent on what you want, what you can afford, what the microphone is capable of, and basically getting the most out of it and using it so that you can find the sweet spot within each of these. So I'm going to connect this microphone up to my Tascam X8. I'm going to use it via an XLR cable. So this is an XLR cable. It's just basically 3 pins, one connecting to one side, and then I'm going to connect the other into this side. I am on input 6 at the moment, so I need to turn this channel on. So down here at the bottom we have as track, so I'm just going to tap on number 6, input should I say. You'll see number 6 here, we're not getting any volume. This is because this is a condenser microphone, and the difference between a condenser microphone and a dynamic microphone. Now a dynamic microphone doesn't require any external power to work, but with a condenser microphone you'll need 48 volts for the circuitry to work. So I'm just going to go to track 6 because this is where my inputs goes in. Turn that on, then click on the microphone at the top. Just click on phantom power. This says, do you want to ensure? And then you'll see if I just turn the gain up, we've got input coming in there. Now what I like about the Tascam X8 is that it's a 32-bit float. So what that means is if I'm recording and I peak, it basically means it's still going to capture that sound without the recording being distorted, because it's in 32-bit float. There is a good explanation on the Tascam website in how it does it, so I won't bother doing that in this video. I'll let you just go onto there if you want to know how it works. So with these two set up, I'm going to point these two in the area that I'm going to be recording the sounds. So I'm just going to set that up now. So ideally this isn't the most perfect recording environment. This is because this is a reflective surface. I've got walls that aren't treated so they don't absorb the sound. So what you're going to get is when I do a clap or a click or whatever, you're going to get that reverb, you're going to get that room within the sound itself. But in some ways that can be a good thing because that's signature to your sound that you're making. So if you're in your bedroom or your bathroom or whatever, that will have a certain sound within there. So if you go and record your sounds in there, that will have certain sounds, that'll have certain environment or ambience embedded in the sounds that you're recording, which are great for if you start to add bit crushing or sample rate reduction. it just brings them out more, just brings more flavour out in the actual recordings. So I've just got a few items here. I'm just going to put them down. So I've got some pens, probably won't use all these pens, but this is just a quick example of how we can record and put stuff into our DAW for us to use. So with these now, what I will do is I will basically just get the sound and then record them from there. So with everything set up now, we can basically hear the input. So we've got that, we've got our sound sources, what we're going to record, and now all I want to do is basically hit record and start recording some sounds. So in fact, I think I'm just going to do it like this. So all I'm going to do is just click record. What that's going to do now is it's going to record both the stereo input and the pencil mic itself. So I'm just going to start recording sounds. So I've recorded some of them sounds now, and what I want to do is just stop the recording. So I'll just click stop. If I turn this back to myself, I basically know that that recording is number 34. So now I've recorded that file, I can basically take this into my DAW now, chop it all up, make it sound as good as it can possibly sound, and then furthermore normalize them tracks or add effects to it or do whatever I want to do with it, and then export that to be used in a sampler of our choice. So in the next part of the video, we're going to be looking at how we can transfer that into our computer. So the next process, what we want to do is get that information from here, the file that we've saved on here, into our computer. So what I'm going to do is just connect this up via USB-C. So this just goes into the side and then into the side of my computer. I'm then just going to go back onto the launcher and then just go around to SD card reader. That then pops up down here on the left hand side, where we can have a look at what we've got inside our recordings. So as we can see, these 4 files down here recorded today, 1420. So all I'm going to do is just select all of them and then just drag them into a folder called desk. It's supposed to be desktop. So once that is done, they are basically all in there. So you will see here we have our inputs 1 and 2. That was our stereo inputs on top of the Tascam. And then on track 6 was our pencil microphone. We also have 2 additional files, a bin file and a mix file. So the mix file is basically all the tracks mixed together as a file. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that, but you might get some nice sort of layering techniques, you know, with them being so close together. So we'll just see if they sound good, basically. So that's why I've dragged all them in there. So what I want to do now is drag and drop these into our DAW. So now we've got our DAW open, we want to drag and drop all these files, well, these first 3 files, into an audio track. What this will do is it'll analyze the track in its own way. What I'm going to do is just turn off the warp on it, because I don't want that. I want it to be the original sound itself. And then on the top here, we will notice that we have 1 and 2, 6, and then mix. I'm just going to put these as 1 and 2, and then number 6. And then I'll just leave that as mix. I'm going to then set up a new audio track and then drag and drop 6 into its own channel and then 1 and 2 into its own channel. I'm then going to select them both by clicking on one, holding down shift and then clicking on number 6, and then pressing and holding my mouse using the tab button and then dragging them into our arrangement view. So a couple of things that you'll notice, the waveforms don't exactly line up, so we can sort of make an educated guess to what goes where. It's not by much, but that probably goes on there like that. So all I'm going to do is just open these up a bit more so we can see what we're doing. And then I'm just going to click and hold this track but use command and then just get it to something I like. I'm going to use this zoom in tool to really zoom in and then do the exact same again to where I think it will start. I'm just going to see how this sounds. That sounds alright. You'll notice on this part as well, the actual waveform clips. So if I go into this mode, you'll see that it clips. So it's plus 10 dB. If that wasn't on 32-bit float, that waveform would just be cut off. It'd be like a clipper. So all I need to do is just bring it down, and you'll see, because we've recorded it in 32-bit float, it's basically retained all of the information that I've recorded. Because I was doing clicks and snaps and stuff, that's why I tend to use it on 32-bit float, because you don't know you don't know a fixed volume for what you're going to be working at. So I've got all the details in there. I can then reuse. I can cut them up, reuse them, and then export them to whatever I like. So I'm just going to hear what's going on. And then on the pencil mic, so you can hear on the pencil mic, it's more in your face, it's more directly at you, rather than the stereo one, which is a surround or a stereo field. You'll notice that the left and right channels are different, whereas on the pencil mic, it's just one sound, it's a mono sound. So what I would tend to do from here is just increase the volume a tiny bit just to see where all my transients are. And then let's just listen to this first bit. So I'm just going to... No, that's me. So I know here I need to get rid of that and that, and then start from this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically work through a first few, and then I will speed up the video because it's quite a tedious process, this. If I just go down here, I can then move this to the start of my first sound. So I can really zoom in, go to the start of my first sound, and then if I click on warp, that is where my start point will be. Alternatively, if I were doing it on this side and I was already in warp mode, you'll basically see these grey little triangles at the top. This means that where the algorithm of lives has detected a transient. So if you notice, it's detected it quite further than what the actual original sound started at. So I'm just going to put a double tap here to place a warp marker. A warp marker then it basically tells us where we want to warp it from. So if I put another warp marker in there, I could then stretch the waveform to whatever it is that I like. I'm just going to undo that. From this warp marker then, I'm going to right click on it and then just set to 111 here. What that will do is exactly the same as what we've done at the top. It'll just set the start point of this sample or this loop or this audio file to start here. So our start point is here. You'll notice that we can stretch it backwards to go back in time or back further back on the recording, but I want them both to start here. So I know that these two now are not perfectly aligned, but more or less bang on in line with each other to how they was recorded. And you can just go through the waveform, just checking that everything looks and matches in its same place. I'm going to bring the volume back down though, just for now. In fact, no, I'm going to leave it up as it is. But I'm going to turn down this volume here instead, the track volume. So this is just good for basically chopping up your waveforms. So the next thing what I want to do is turn off the grid, because I want my mouse to go wherever I choose, and then from there I will basically just cut into these samples themselves. So you see we're getting a totally different sound, but layered together we can get all sorts of stuff. So I will basically go through this track now, or these two tracks. I will then highlight an area such as this, press shift and click on the top, and then just press command or control and E, and that separates the track within into a new sort of track. I'll then just work through this whole file and do this after turning these down again. So that sound there, so I will probably use that as a total file itself, which I will just highlight for now and then come back to that later, because there is something that I want to do later on. But I'm just going to go through this file and chop up what I feel as though is good. So I'll do the exact same on this one. So if I just set this to up a bit more, I can see that the waveform starts there. If I just click on 1-1 here, I know that that is that part. Do the exact same thing on this file. Set it there, 1-1, and then we've got that side, and then this side. That's a nice, don't know where that's come from, but that'd be nice as a kick. Add a fade. Or we could add a bit more air or room to the sound with a fade maybe. Do the exact same for this one. So I'm just going to work through this file. I'm just going to do what I do. I'll speed the time up now, and then I'll come back to you after this is done. So I've gone and worked through that whole track. This is what we've got so far. Just a selected few. What I'm going to do now is consolidate these into basically normalize them to a 0 dB value. So normalization, basically, if I just show you on this sample, what it will do on this one, for example, is it will analyze the waveform, and the peak of the waveform that will be amplified, or the amplification will be brought up to a 0 dB. To 0 dB. So if I just press Command and J, what we will get is this file has been normalized. It stays at the same value until I click on the gain here. You'll see that I'm minus 17.1 dB from 0 dB. So if I just double click on this, you will notice that this point here, which is this point here, is on actual 0 dB. So it won't ever go over 0 dB. That's good just to get a consistent level of volume going across all of your samples. So with that, I'm just going to do that on each one of these. Before I do my last one, I just wanted to show you the fade in and fade out. So a fade in and fade out, if I had a file which was like this, and basically I had my start point to, let's say, here, this would create a click at the start of the track of the sample. This is because this little grey line here, that is your normal position of your speaker. So going above this line basically pushes the speaker out, going below this line pulls it in, and that's how you get the vibration from your speaker. So with us doing that, it's going, that's how you get your click basically. So it's like a square waveform. So your speaker just goes from nothing to a bit of well, it goes down to that value, whatever that value is. So the way that we can get rid of that click is just by adding faders. So fade in would basically go from this obviously neutral position of your speaker, and then bring the sample in. It's a bit like an attack basically, and that goes same with the fade out as well. It basically just brings it back to its neutral natural position without any clicks and pops. So I just wanted to show you that one, just so that you knew about it basically. So I'm just going to do that now. That's the last one done. So now I have normalized all these samples. I'm just going to drag and click right to the end, so I've selected all my samples. You'll notice that I've got 73 clips selected, and the range of the gain is basically from nearly -70 to +12. So if I just double click on this, this means that all these files now have been normalized to 0 dB. So with these all selected, I'm just going to pick up all of these 73 samples, bring them in to a new channel, and then just drop them. I'm going to mute that track, and then from this one, from this track here, this is what we've got. So I'm just going to turn this down by 24 dB on the main output or on the track fader, and then I'm just going to play some of the samples. That one. So the last thing that I need to do is select them all, and then I just want to rename these as just as perk sounds. That then, once they've been renamed, I'm going to crop the clips. So what cropping the clips will do is basically crop the clips to whatever size they actually are. So if I just take this one, for example, you will see that we have space here at the front. So if I just basically just cropped that clip without the watermarker on, it would crop that first bit out. So all I want to do now is just go down to the bottom, turn warp off, and then crop the samples. And what that's done is it's just cropped every sample. So you notice here in the bottom left hand corner down here, we have the 0, 0, 0. That's what we want. We want our sample to start on 0, 0, 0. So if I just quickly go down, you'll notice that a few hit and miss, but like that one for example, that could do with going up to here. And then if I just click crop clip, that would basically bring that straight to the start point. I quite like that with that space at the front. Quite like that with the space at the front. Quite like that there. That one. Let's bring that to... I quite like that space at the front though on this one. Sounds more organic. And then just basically look at each of the waveforms just quickly, just to see if the start of the waveform is actually here, and which it is. So we're basically ready to export these now. So because we have cropped them, they are ready to be exported. So now we are ready to export these into the folder for themselves. So if I go to my sample banks folder, I'll just create a new folder in there by right clicking and clicking on new folder. I'll rename this as perk. I'll just put it as X8. And then from these files then I just want to click on the top one, shift, click on the bottom one, and then drag and drop these into that file itself. You'll see now that we have samples, processed and cropped. That's what you want to see. If you see recorded or imported or something like that, you need to crop the samples. That means, it just means that all the sounds will be as they are. You won't have that gap at the front. So I know all these sounds now are exactly how I want them to be, and then I will basically just get all these sounds and then drag them into the actual folder itself. I'll then get rid of this folder, and then now we have basically our sounds that we've recorded from our field recording. So once you've exported your sounds, you could basically move them into whatever sample it is that you choose. There's just one last thing I do want to show you, because on the X8 sometimes they do have quite noisy preamps. So what noise is basically the circuitry that has been used in the preamp creates noise. That's the effect of having a preamp or any electrical circuit. It's noise. It's the actual electrons moving, and it's creating a noise level. So a noise level is basically something that we want to keep down to a minimum. In this sample, I have a lot of noise. So you can hear it there at the end. I've recorded it at a low volume, but when I've normalized that to 0 dB, that is what we're getting. All that noise. So I've just loaded a third-party plugin. This is from C-Suite. I think it's by Cedar, and it is a UAD2 plugin, so you need a UA2 device for this to work. But there are other noise suppression plugins out there. I think Waves do one. There's loads of companies that'll do them. If you just type in noise suppression plugin, it'll come up. This example, I'm just going to use this one. So this attenuation button will reduce the overall noise level down. So if I just click on this, you'll see that this blue area here is what it's picking up. So if I just put on attenuation, you'll hear that we've got that sound more or less focused in. If I just add a bit of ambience back in, it's still got a bit there, but it's really at the low end. So if I get a EQ and then just EQ the bottom end, I probably won't do that for all of them, or even for this one, but having that noise reduction software in there really helps. So that's before, this is after with the plugin. You can hear the sound more. So that's probably the worst one. So I'll probably put that to one side. That's quite a bad one. So if we listen to all these all the way through, we could then flatten these sounds out, pick and choose which ones we want to keep, pick and choose which ones we want to get rid of. So all we do is, if we want to use this plugin on this track with these samples, all these samples loaded in, all we'll have to do to burn that onto the actual clip itself is right click on the track and then go to freeze and flatten. What that will do is it'll freeze a track with this plugin on each one of these samples, and then we have that noise reduction software within the samples. So as you can hear now, it's still somewhat there, but that is a part of recording with a microphone and in a certain area. It basically adds to your sound that you're wanting to record. So what we can do with that now is transfer all of these into our sample of our choosing. In our case, it's going to be the Digitakt 2, but all you'd have to do there is open up Electron Transfer, plug in your computer, plug your Digitakt into your computer, and then just transfer the files as you would, as shown in the previous video. So this is more or less how we take field recording sounds, bring them into our DAW, chop them up, neaten them up, and then use noise reduction software, for example, to reduce the noise level of the recordings. You don't have to do that, but it's just a way to add an effect to the actual sounds that you've recorded. We could do other stuff with it. We could basically add choruses, reverbs, whatever we want to do with it. So for example, on this one, I could add reverb, send that to a reverb, and then that's how it would sound. I could then bake that into the sound itself and then export that. I like to leave my samples dry so that you can choose what you want to do with them. You can stretch them, you can manipulate them, you can add reverb to them, chorus to them, this, that and other to them. In future packs, I would like to, well, I'm going to start adding and creating my own sort of unique stuff from the things that I've recorded. So this is such as adding reverb and chorus and stuff like that. Saturation as well, to bring out the sounds, to make them as good as they can possibly sound. There are plenty of sample packs on the website, so if you would like to go and support the channel or support myself, you can go directly to the website and just have a look at them. I do have a Patreon as well, so if you sign up for Patreon and you are subscribed to Patreon, basically what that means is you get the full website for free. So I think the starting price on Patreon is $5, and then it goes up to like $25, but from $5 onwards you're supporting me. So the website, you can basically download all the sample packs on the website. You can basically use them for your own productions. They're all royalty free. Don't forget the Electron sound and preset booklet. So this is a 50+ page PDF booklet. It's designed for Digitakt 1 and Digitakt 2 users. I have different stuff in there, so coverage, sound design, effects and processing, advanced techniques, workflow, optimization, step-by-step tutorials in the actual folder itself. If you want to find out more about that, you can go to the website. Or if you wanted a sample pack, just have a look at the sample pack. It's on the website. Just click on shop, and then you could either click on one of these tabs here or basically go and have a look at all the products. So the last thing we want to do is transfer that onto our Digitakt. So the way that we do that nice and quickly, this is been covered in a previous video, but we connect our Digitakt to the computer via USB, open electron transfer, and then click on your MIDI in and MIDI out device that you want to connect to, press connect, and then this brings up a drop and explore folder. If we go to our explore folder, we will go to incoming and then put a new folder in there. We'll just put this as X8 samples. I'm going to then go into this folder and then go into my originals. I'm going to go all the way to the top and then click on the top one, press shift and click on the bottom one, and then drag and drop all these inside the actual folder. What that will do then is transfer all of these sounds that we've got from our recording into the actual Digitakt itself. Now that they're all loaded into the Digitakt, we can then load them into the actual project itself. So if I click on function and then samples, I will just go to my drive, I will go to the incoming folder and then go to that folder that we have just put in there. To see what preview, to auto preview these, we just go into the menu, click on auto preview, and then we should now be able to hear the sounds that we recorded. So they're all there. We could basically load, we could select all and load them into the project. So this is loading in the 72 samples. Once we've done that, we could basically go to this track 1, go down to wherever they are, which are starting on 20. If I just do a simple beat for now, just a 4 on the floor, and let's say we wanted some of these. Put that in there as a hat maybe. Give it a bit of overdrive. And then I know we had a clap in there, so if I just go into this, I think it was down at the bottom somewhere. Could load that in there, take the effects off, maybe not. We'll try that one. And then we could start to build up a track using them samples. Obviously it's kicking in there as a sample, but maybe pick another sound. Let's try this one, but if we just move the start point back to there. We could basically loop this section So by just using the atmosphere of the room, you can come up with different textures like this. This is obviously being played back at whatever note I'm playing it at, and it's giving us different textures within the sound. So that's what I was meaning before about keeping the noise in there. So this is a combination of the room, it's a combination of the preamps, it's a combination of all them things, because these are the original sounds. We didn't use the noise reduction software on this, so this is why I wanted to keep that in there, just so that I can try and do stuff like this with it. And if we go down an octave, you can come up with all sorts of different stuff. So that's just a quick insight, how we record stuff, how we can chop it up inside our DAW, export that into our Digitakt, and then go from there to create new ideas, come up with new stuff. We could then resample this back into our DAW, and it'd be a full cycle. We could continuously evolve a track, starting from something as simple as just air within a track like this. We could then record that, we could then manipulate that either in here or in our DAW. It's never ending really of the things that you can do and the possibilities that you can do with sound. It's totally just a blank canvas where you can just do whatever you want with it. So I'm going to leave it at that for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the website and the Patreon, where you can pick up all the sample packs on the website, and the Electron preset booklet is also included in that. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.